Hi everybody. Sorry for this slight technical issue.
I'm here.
Oh yeah, you're here. So everybody please welcome Daan.
Thank you.
He will be speaking about GSoC.
Yeah, and I first have to admit my first rookie mistake. I forgot to put the title of my talk in here. So I'll just say it. I'm talking about GSoC at Apache CloudStack. So this is more about community than about technical issues, though I will describe some of the projects that have been passing by over the years. First of all, I am Daan Hoogland. I have some social media handles that you could use. And I am a triathlete. I used to be, at least. I have a cat, number 7 in my life. I like languages. That includes Java, Spanish, Welsh, English, even French. Sorry. And I am notorious of using braces in my texts all the time. If you see me on the internal Slack or on WhatsApp, it's terrible. These are my 2 kids. Actually, these were my 2 kids when they were still kids. They're 31 and 28 now. No grandchildren inside, just a new cat, which is only in my house for 1 week. So I'm gonna explain what GSoC is, as in not socks, but a project type of thing. What is it at Apache? What does it entail in Apache? So what is our position in there? How does it work? And then I'm gonna give some examples of projects over the years, over the long years that we've been part of Apache. And finally, some conclusions. Why do we want this? Why do you want it in your company? Why do we want it as a project? And then hopefully some objectives for the next year. What can we do? Google Summer of Code is the full title of GSoC, which explains some things. It's coding. It happens in the summer, and it is sponsored by Google, who will pay students. I call them students. Google likes to call them contributors. And they will pay them for working a few months on any open source project that has the ability to organize and guide these contributors through their projects over the summer. It's kind of an internship, but it's open, as in it's not part of any study, it's not part of any obligation other than to the project itself and the flow of Google Summer of Code and the project that the contribution is to. It's only open source projects, and there's a long list of open source projects. I'll refer you to the site, not give you any insight into which projects, just that Apache is one of them. And it is some nerds are gonna waste the summer and be inside to give us some code. Also, I want to implore all of you to contribute, as in propose what you want done for your company and don't have time for, but want to add to your roadmap anyway. It'll be rewarding in some way, even if the code doesn't make it into the project. Okay. For Google, their objective is just to get people acquainted with open source projects, to have them get some experience. Here you see the definition. Not going to read it out loud. You can find it on the website as well. And here is the current status in the project after, I think, 15 years or so, not sure. 13 years maybe. What has happened, how many students, countries, etc. And you see there are 40 million lines of code. That's quite some at a time. that has been spent in there. So what happens is that first we, as a project, propose subjects, propose mini projects, propose PRs, and tag them as suitable for GSoC. Students can then apply, say, hey, yeah, I want to do that. Next, what the student does is they rewrite the proposal and they propose it to Google, and there will be some assessment. Project will get approved or not. And then the student starts working on it. As I said, all summer. What we also do is be mentoring them. So one of our committers will be liaised with the contributor, with the student, all that time, and spend some time with them to make sure that they finish their project in a timely and satisfying manner. Meaning they will have to get them acquainted with our standards in the project, with our procedures, and make sure they follow everything. So, what roles do we have? I mentioned the contributor. I mentioned the mentors. Hopefully everybody is willing. Then there's an organization, and an organization has an administrator that first makes sure that we know everything we need to do, and also make sure that the communication with Google self is handled properly. I'm not going to go too much into that task, and it's probably not going to be one of us that does that, but it's heavy work. Also, we have a internal, unofficial coordinator within the project, within CloudStack. I'm actually doing his presentation here now. He's sitting in the back, Bobby. But don't worry, he'll be doing my presentation about release management for 4.18 tomorrow. So I think we did a fair trade there. Of course, there's the role of Google itself. They need to be involved in some way. It's their money. So yeah, they'll be monitoring whether we assess right and whether the projects go well. So, I don't think I have anything to add here. Oh yeah, we want all of you to submit projects, that's it. The Apache way, so during your mentoring it's important that you give your students guidance. So how do we work within Apache? The mail list is ruling, we do things on GitHub, there's number of reviews you need to gather. It's not automatic. You need to find approval. Sorry, and then of course all the Apache standards of respect and diversity and whatever. It's a bit of a mix that you need to guard. For most of us, it will be natural, without. Oh right, and this is the real Apache way. I thought I'd appropriate some culture there. The timeline. It's starting usually somewhere in February. I ordered it here by month, but these months some are longer than others, and I don't mean 28 till 31 days, but I mean 3 weeks to 7 weeks. But anyway, first there's the submittal of ideas by us, and I say February, but we should start now because we can have discussions about what's the best idea as well. So we should really start before the new year with submitting our ideas, tagging them as GSoC 23 or 2023, and gathering, discuss which are the best ones, who is willing to mentor which one. It's not necessary that you mentor your own idea, it's just necessary that we have a good result for the project. in March, that will be final. It will be final not for us, CloudStack. It will be an Apache thing. Apache will submit project proposals to Google and not CloudStack. In April, the contributors, students, will be choosing. So they'll contact you, ask you questions about your project proposal. You can add some guidance there already. And then if the assignments are done, I'm not sure what the date was this time, but somewhere near the end of April, there's assignments, and then the students need to get themselves acquainted in the community they're going to be in, aka CloudStack. Of course, the objective of Google is that it's Apache. Apache is the organization, but we operate so independently that they need to get themselves acquainted with us. Then in June, they start coding. Nowadays, there's two possible length of projects. There's a short project and a long project, but they all start in June, right? Yeah, okay. So the first phase ends in July. For the student that did a short project, that's the end, and then the assessment follows. The other ones have a second phase. They code again. In September, they get their final evaluation where they pass or fail. I'm not sure if that's going to have financial ramifications for them. I hope not. And then in November, the final project should be delivered. And this rarely happens in November, but sometimes it's already delivered because students are so wise to deliver in parts and have them merged, but more often than that, they're merged the year after somewhere, if at all. But yeah, that shouldn't be our biggest worry, whether they do. I mean, you cannot count on it, right? It's experience for them. It's also experience and experimentation for us. Get your student motivated to start early. Don't wait till the last time. It's important that you do that. All these things are part of being a good citizen of the Apache CloudStack community. Yeah, I can go deeper into them, but I think also these items should be natural to all of us. It is wise to have regular contact, but don't spend every day on it. But make sure you don't skip weeks of not talking to your student, even if it's just a 5-minute chat on our Slack channel or WhatsApp or whatever signal. So the history, Apache at GSoC. Apache has been involved since the very first time, so it's 13 years indeed, with 32 projects. I did some history digging there, but I didn't go into everything. CloudStack wasn't involved in these days. This is the latest years of Apache. As I said, I didn't go into every year, but last year there were 33 successful concluded projects out of 112 proposals. That's including, I think, 3 projects of ours and 12 proposals. I'll have that in a slide later on. So Cloud wasn't involved in the first few years. In 2013, our first involvement happened. So that's 1 year after we became actually that's the year we became a top-level project. It's 1 year after donation of CloudStack to Apache. These are the 3 projects. You can look them up. Some more interesting, some more, less successful. I must admit there, I put one that is not really a CloudStack project, but it has the name CloudStack in it. It's a WEAR project. Some guy wanted to have the interface for CloudStack provisioning, and we're so 2003 there were another 3 projects, very active time those 2 years, and then all of a sudden nothing. and nothing. Few attempts to get proposals accepted, and again nothing. And then finally in 2001 we got active again. And there went something wrong. Oh, the examples. Yeah. I was going to explain. I'm going to show you what they did. We have now in CloudStack 3 ways to integrate with LDAP. And actually the first way is the manual import. So you get a drop down and you select accounts from an LDAP that you have bound to, and you can choose accounts to import. That manual import, that's the result of a GSoC project. So very successful project. I think it was the only one of the first 3 that is actually so successful that it's still in. Let me check back. Yeah, the other 2 are no in yet. For the next year, there are a few more successful ones. Storage plugin improvements. This was mentored by Mike, who's not here, Mike Tutovsky. He asked the student to improve the interface for adding primary storages that were not NFS. That's also still in that code, although the UI part has been ported forward to the newer UI. And then these are in, but I don't think anybody ever uses this. These are proxies to CloudStack conforming to the APIs for GCE and EC2. Maybe we need to revive those now that the hybrid clouds are becoming more popular, but then again, are these APIs still used? I don't know. But nice project this was. Then we have the New Wave project, which started last year, of course. I'm not sure if you recognize them, any of them, but if I look closely at them, there's one merged, I think, of all these projects. There are a lot of PR still open. They're being reworked by the mentors. And I think I see only one that is really abandoned. So that was, well, I wouldn't call that a total waste of time. It was kind of a bit of a waste of time, but of course the student has learned and the mentor has learned, and it was, I'm pretty sure that there was fun being had there. This, I think, is the only one that's actually in now. So, successful project, and maybe we should expect only 1 in 3 to be successful. Of course, we want 99%, but yeah, hey. Yeah, I'm not sure if I should say very much about this one. Unless someone, unless Bobby, you want to add? No. Sorry, you have a question now, you can pose them. It is actually merged, this one? This one, right? Okay, great. I didn't pay attention, sorry. So that's actually 2 out of 6. That's we got our quota for the last few years, so let's keep it up. We had a evaluation of the last year, and we had 6 people involved in 3 students, which is actually more than required. The requirement is that you have a mentor for a student, for a contributor. And we calculated that we spent over the 6 people 45 hours. So if you go back, divide by 6, divide by 52, you're not spending an hour per week. So just another way to try and motivate you all to be involved next year. Oh, this one is one slide out. I should have had it before the former one. I think this one is also successful, right? Is this merged? It's even merged as well. So we're 3 out of 6 now. Good score. How is this going to benefit? Well, all of us are acquainted to those subjects, so that's one thing, knowledge that we gathered. The students have their knowledge about both the technologies and about the open source community, which is both very important. If you have a roadmap item that you know you're not going to get done, you're not going to have time for, then this is a perfect way to get extra labor. And the labor is being paid for by Google, so don't hesitate about money. What you should not expect, and I think I've made that clear as well, is that it's going to have guaranteed result in any way. Some projects get totally abandoned, even from a functional point of view. Some get not merged and have to be reworked by someone involved in the project. Okay, that happens. And finally, students learn things that we didn't learn. And you get some exposure to that. Try to make it work for you the best you can. So the coming years, as I said, I hope we can keep this up. We have let a large gap happen between the start of the project and now, where we didn't have projects, even though we did propose some projects. I think it would be fine if we can keep it up. I understand we need a new coordinator for the project, but maybe we can work the old coordinator over a bit and we can continue. Ideas are always welcome, but especially now the coming months is the period that we need to invest in this. So add a GitHub issue and add the tag GSoC 2023. You can start now. Open your laptop, enter it. And it doesn't have to be perfect at the first write. It never is. Of course, you're not required to take the first to be the mentor, but of course it needs a mentor. So it would be nice to, lobby around to make sure that there's enough people supporting the project, so that the student doesn't get in and have no points of contact anymore. Yeah, that is the coming year. February, the date is not set yet, so we'll have to keep ourselves up to date on that. Then finally, this is the only of these open source intern programs that I have any experience with at all, but there's a lot. Some of them mentioned here. So if you're interested in the general concept but not in Google, have a look around. And then finally, are there any questions?
Just to add a little bit. As part of contributing ideas, I would encourage everybody to do it. And it doesn't, some people are afraid to do it because some people might not have the technical knowledge, might not be developers. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a developer to be a mentor. I've been a mentor and I'm not a developer, I'm doing testing. And as long as you have your idea there on display, and if there are some people that would apply for it, we can find a suitable technical guy to mentor the student, and we can work it out basically as a community. And I think just yesterday they've announced next year, they've sent out an email with some, it was literally just yesterday, with some dates and stuff. So it's same as last year, it starts somewhere at February. So yeah, as Dan said, it's maybe a good time to start adding those ideas. Now back to questions.
Any questions, guys, girls?
It's me with the labs this time.
Thanks. This was a really great overview. Couple of things. What do you think we could do as a community to improve the outcomes here? Because although we may have 3 out of 6 for this, it would be great if we had 6 out of 6. Obviously, that's maybe in dreamland. But what do you think we could do as a community to both continue to mentor, but also take this across the finish line? Because I'm assuming that at some point, Google and others are going to be very interested in the overall outcome for the project, in addition to how the learning process went for the student.
Okay, it's a bit of an education, and Google does not expect 100%. And I think they would be kind of disappointed if it was 100%. So that's one side. The other side is what we can do is, the most important thing is not, we're dependent on the student. So we have to be empathic to how this student is, what his cultural or their cultural background is, and make sure that we apply as much of what we understand of that as possible. And the most important part is that you don't chase them too much and you don't chase them too little. So what I said about being there with a mail or a chat every week, but not every day, is a good start. But then again, of course, you have periods in the project where it's more important to be there every day, or even responsive by the hour. And then there's periods in the projects where you hardly have any contact. A definite answer, a definite recipe, there isn't. I cannot give one.
Yeah, I would encourage, though, others who are developers and testers in the community, though, to really help out, because, you know, there's nothing worse than having stale PRs out there that might actually benefit the community, right? Obviously, we have 3 that got through. We've got, I think, at least another 2 that are in PR status that haven't yet been commented on by anyone, including the OAuth 2 plugin, which I think would be really nice to get across the line. So I think, you know, being able to encourage the community to get behind this more than they are, right? It's fantastic. We have all the mentors that stand up and do all that work, but I've been in the community for a long time, and I know how painful it can be to get a PR across the line that I'm interested in, right? I have to call a lot of people up. I have to Slack a lot of people and say, hey guys, hey Nicholas, do you mind helping? Can you rally the troops, right? Or David, can you kind of help, right? So I think it would be great to be able to do a lot more of that as well, to just see if we can improve the success rate, because it is a great project, right? And as you said, it's free hands. So if we can just push it along a little bit further and improve our overall success rate to maybe 75%, I mean, that would be a huge win for the community and a huge win for the students.
Yes. No more
Anybody else? And just to add, Simon, last year we had 100% success. But not this year. Anybody else? Questions?
Yeah, hi Dan. So CloudStack is more of a technology-heavy project and also requires, you know, decent knowledge in Java. But most students, when they come in, they don't have that level of experience. What can we do to, you know, foster them and actually encourage them and say, hey, you know what, go learn this, or you can still do this, but, you know, these are the caveats. Is there something that we can do to encourage students?
Well, there's part of that we have to do before the students get acquainted with us, and that is make sure that we don't propose projects where they have to do and Java and Python and Go and have some knowledge of back-end systems. So part of that is on our project definitions. On the other hand, as said, not all of us here are developers, but the ones that are developers do Go, do Java, do Python, etc., etc. So we can show them on a personal level, and if you're not a mentor that is a developer yourself, then you should involve one of the developers. Hey, I have this student who is scared, and I'm happy to jump in, and I know you are. So That's one thing that we can maybe also an answer to you, Simon. That's one thing we can do is not just be involved with the student, but involving each other if there's something going wrong. I think I need to shut up now.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I will happily take your questions later, and Daan also over a beer if you have. But unfortunately, now we are out of time, and we'll have to shut it down. So yeah, see you in 10 minutes.
Thank you.